The Pyramid of Cheops is one of the most famous structures in human history, gigantic, mysterious, and ancient, but how old is it exactly? An Italian engineer has now published a study that could turn the entire field of Egyptology upside down, because according to his research, the pyramids of Giza may be over 20,000 years older than previously thought.
And that would mean that there was an advanced high civilization that has not yet appeared in the history books. Stay tuned to find out what this theory is all about. A warm welcome, everyone.
Who among you has been to Egypt and visited the pyramids? It's still on my travel list, so feel free to write your best tips for a vacation in Egypt in the comments. I'm very excited to hear them. And if you want to be informed immediately about new findings on the pyramids, then subscribe to my channel right now. It's free, you'll never miss a video again, and you'll be helping me out a lot.
And if you've already subscribed, giving the video a thumbs up really helps. 5,000 likes is the magic threshold for the YouTube algorithm. Thank you so much, everyone. Just imagine, what if everything we think we know about the pyramids is wrong? According to mainstream academic opinion, the Great Pyramid of Khufu was built around 2600 BC, which is about 4,600 years ago. That's an incredibly long time ago.
To put that into perspective, Cleopatra lived closer in time to the invention of the iPhone than to the construction of the Great Pyramid. Amazing, right? And it gets even more amazing. Alberto Donini, an engineer from the University of Bologna in Italy, has presented a controversial study claiming that the Pyramid of Cheops could have been built well over 20,000 years ago, not in 2600 BC, but rather in 22,916 BC. If this were true, we would have to completely rethink our entire understanding of human history. But how did Donini arrive at this claim? His method is called the relative erosion method, or REM for short. The basic idea is relatively simple. Donini measured the erosion, that is the weathering of the stones. Specifically, he compared the degree of weathering of stones that had been exposed to the elements since the pyramid was built with stones that had only been exposed for about 675 years.
There's a good reason for that. Originally, the pyramids were covered with smooth, white limestone slabs that were said to have gleamed in the sunlight. The Greek historian Herodotus described the Great Pyramid of Khufu as still being covered with smooth limestone slabs that made the monument shine.
But then came the devastating earthquake in Crete in 1303, which also shook Egypt and loosened many of these facing slabs. In the following decades, these stones were systematically removed and used for the reconstruction of Cairo. Only a few facing blocks remain today at the base of the Pyramid of Cheops, and near the top of the Pyramid of Chephren, Donini has now examined the stones that lay beneath this facing and have only been exposed for about 675 years. He compared them with the neighboring stones, which have been permanently exposed to wind, weather, and sand since the pyramid was built. His reasoning was that if he knew how much a stone had weathered in 675 years, he could calculate from the ratio to the total weathering how long the other stone had been exposed to the elements. That is, how old the pyramid actually was. Donini explains in the study, the volume of decayed material should be proportional to the duration of exposure to erosive processes. Sounds logical at first, right? Donini took measurements at 12 different locations, mainly on the paving around the base of the Pyramid of Cheops. However, he examined two types of erosion: pitting erosion, that is small indentations and holes in the rock, and uniform wear, in which the entire surface is worn down evenly. His calculations yielded some dramatic results. At some measurement points, the age was 50,000 years, at others only about 5,700 years. From the average of all 12 measurement points, he finally arrived at 24,941 years. Using statistical analysis, Donini concluded that there is a 68.2% probability that the G1 pyramid of Akhet Khufu was built between 10,979 and 38,903 years ago, with an average of 24,941 years.
Crazy, isn't it? If that were true, we would be dealing with a completely unknown advanced civilization here, one that was already capable of such architectural masterpieces more than 20,000 years ago. Somehow, the series Stargate inevitably came to my mind. But, and that's a big but, before we go throwing out all our history books, we should take a more critical look at the matter, because Donini's study has some weaknesses, some of which he even admits himself.
Firstly, the method assumes that erosion is constant. That is, that a stone weathers by the same amount per century. In reality, however, this is not the case. Thousands of years ago, the climate in Egypt was significantly more humid than it is today. More moisture also means more erosion, so if the stones weathered faster in the past than in the last 675 years, this would lead to a massive overestimation of their age. Secondly, the pyramids were partially covered by sand for long periods of time. The Sphinx, for example, was buried up to its neck in desert sand for centuries. But if parts of the pyramid base were also temporarily covered by sand, they were protected from erosion, and that too would completely confuse the calculation. Thirdly, Donnini himself admits that modern mass tourism has massively accelerated wear and tear. Thousands and tens of thousands of people walk around the pyramids every day, and then there is air pollution and acid rain, all factors that did not exist in ancient times. And fourthly, we already have very reliable methods for determining the age of the pyramids. One of these is classical archaeology. Mark Lehner, a renowned Egyptologist, explains it this way: we date the pyramids primarily by their position in the development of Egyptian architecture over a period of 3,000 years. Take ceramics, for example. All the ceramics we find in Giza look like the ceramics from the time of Khufu, Chephren, and Mykerinos, the kings who built these pyramids in the 4th dynasty. On the other hand, we have radiocarbon dating. This method was performed on seeds and plant material found in and around the pyramids. Thomas Hickam from Oxford University explains, for example, we use seeds from a room under the step pyramid of Saqqara, which was dated to a specific year of King Joseph's reign. And lo and behold, radiocarbon dating confirms pretty much what archaeologists had estimated. The pyramids were built around 2600 BC.
And yes, I'm sorry that I have to be the spoilsport here again. Still, I find it interesting that someone is thinking about alternative dating methods. And who knows, maybe Donnini's approaches could yield some insights if the method is further refined and all the interfering factors can be better controlled.
These established methods are very reliable and also more reliable than erosion measurement, I would say, which can be influenced by so many factors. Donnini himself admits that his results only indicate the order of magnitude of the construction period, not a precise date. But as things stand, there is really no evidence to suggest that the pyramids are 20,000 years older than previously thought. At least Donnini's study does not really support this. Even at 4,600 years old, the pyramids are incredibly impressive. We don't need to inflate their age to make them mysterious. The true story is fascinating enough. A civilization on the Nile that created monuments almost 5,000 years ago that have survived to this day and continue to amaze us.
I'll keep you updated here on any further developments. So don't forget to subscribe to the channel now and give it a thumbs up so we can hit 5,000 likes.
And now let's move from Egypt to Italy. A dramatic geological disaster has occurred in the town of Niscemi in Sicily. A massive landslide caused parts of the town to sink by up to 25 meters. The images are tragic and impressively demonstrate the forces at work within the earth. In the video above right, you can learn all about the geological background. Be sure to click on it, and if you click on the bottom left, you can get your hands on shirts from my videos featuring real meteorites and plush black holes. Every order greatly supports my work. Otherwise, I'd say see you in the next video. Take care, folks.